Hello everyone, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, click on that notification bell, share, like, dislike, comment, let us know what you're thinking. You could also leave a review and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you want to leave a donation to the Angel of Words podcast, you can do it at Cash App AOWENT. Now, today on the Angel of Words podcast, we have community activist Miss Whitney Taylor on deck on the Angel of Words podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Angel of Words podcast. I'm your host, Angel of Words, and today I have with me community activist Miss Whitney Taylor. Hey, Miss Taylor, how you doing today?
I'm
Thank
doing
you for
well.
joining me
How
on
are
the
you?
Angel of Words podcast. I'm good.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, Miss Taylor, you know, homelessness is at the highest point since the Depression. 57,000 plus people are homeless, 12,000 plus families, 19 plus thousand homeless children, 56% higher than it was 10 years ago. Could you let us know and the audience know what you're doing to help combat that situation?
Well, currently I'm doing preventive services. I was with an agency where we were dealing with the criminal justice system, and we placed them in homes as well as entered them back into society. Now I'm currently dealing with children and families, the preventive services of homelessness, as well as being placed into foster care, et cetera, et cetera.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face, with this? Is it something that's mental? Is it something
Mental
that's
health.
physical?
Mental
Yeah?
health. Mental health, and as it relates to it being unaddressed, as it relates to this pandemic and how mental health has taken off to an all-time high, and people not even being able to relate to the fact that we're in a pandemic, and what do? We can't eat. We can't take care of our children. And so we begin to spiral, and depression begins.
Wow.
And there we have it.
Now, Ms. Taylor, does the company that you work for, do they offer services in mental health and things of that nature? Is that are those services available?
Well, what happens is that I advocate for them to get the services that they need, which means that I have a Rolodex, if you will, still a Rolodex. Excuse me, I'm a little seasoned in this.
No, it's all right. Don't worry,
I have a Rolodex that
for the younger people, that's used to be where you store your contacts. You know what I'm saying?
So I have a Rolodex that allows me to make a lot of referrals to advocate for them to get the services that they need so that they can be restored best they can, to mental health, to better health.
Okay, so how does that process work? Let's say you're a homeless family, you go to this agency or this place. What's the process like?
Okay, systematically, here's what happens, and I may as well tell you. They have to go through a system. Once they go through a system, it's called PATH. Once they go through PATH and they get assigned to, say, a shelter and an intake is being done, and they're then, and it's time consuming. If in fact, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of coping skills. It takes a lot of speaking life into yourself and saying that, you know what, I can do this. It's for the greater good. A lot of times because of what's going on, the population that are really homeless right now are the youth. The youth are running around and they're homeless, and yes, their parents are as well, but the youth right now, they believe that being in the street is easier than being in a shelter system. So a lot of times they won't go receive the help that they need. We're talking about adolescents. When I say adolescents, we're talking from teen to adulthood. We're talking from mid-20s to, late 30s, early 30s. So we have young families that are homeless at this time. I've never seen and the mental health encompassed with it. I've never seen so many people at a disadvantage. And I think that this pandemic has made it even worse. They're not unable to eat. We know that systematically you get public assistance, you get food stamps, you get, if you're a single person, you get 107.50, or is that what it is? 107.50 every 2 weeks. That doesn't allot you a place to live.
Yeah.
So
that's
the cost of I'm sorry?
No, I said that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so the cost of living is taken off to an all-time high, and there's just no place, if you're not with family, for you to live anymore.
And why do you think the kids are so young? Like, what's happening there? I don't,
we come from, okay, so you want to talk about most of them are coming from, you and I both worked at Rikers Island at one point.
Yes, we did. Yes, we
and
did.
Us
We'll talk about that
Island.
soon, too. Yeah.
And us working at Rikers Island, we totally understood that most of the population that was there were fathers. We worked in the visitor center, so we got to see the families coming up to see their husbands and their sons and a lot of times it began there. So we don't have any, any structure in our family. Either dad is gone or mom is gone, but they did whatever it was they felt they needed to do to make a living. And as a result of that, they're in the prison system, and now their children are forced to be adults.
Now, Ms. Taylor, that's a great point, because, there's a large faction of society right now in this social, political climate that feels that these things don't go on, or if they do go on, it really doesn't affect you moving forward and progressing as a human being. And, what do you have to say to that? I mean, because I disagree. I feel like, if you're not, you have to have some type of nurturing, some type of opportunity.
I totally disagree, Angel. Okay. I come from a place of, I have an assorted background as well, if you will. And that was by choice. I had a mom, I had a dad. My mom was a single parent. And she, instilled in us to the best of her ability. It was my choice to go outside because I was a little curious, if you will. And in my curiosity, I ran into some loopholes, and that's to say the least.
You always have a way with words, girl. Let me tell you.
I ran into some loopholes, to say the least. And the thing is at some point, because at some point you hear some still voice saying to you, like, I want better for myself. Are the children given that opportunity today? Probably not. They can't hear that. They don't know that. You see what I'm saying? But my mother did instill that in me before I decided to wander off course.
Got you.
And I remembered it when I was at the end. And all I needed to do was get back up. And when I did get back up, I vowed that I would give back in the very place that I decided to stray. And so here I am. So what I say to that is that a lot of them don't have any hope. We're talking about environmental. We're talking about societal, all the norms that you and I didn't grow up in. Our parents made sure we had something to eat on a regular. Most of the society now, they put their children in front of a television, which I call as an idiot box, and they're to eat cereal all day. And this remote learning, oh my God. When the parent is to teach the child how to work a computer system that they know nothing about. You get what I'm saying? So this starts from home. All of this is it's socioeconomical. It's a breakdown in how we're able to raise our children today, Angel. And as a result of that, there's homelessness. And as a result of that, there's mental health. And as a result of that, there's substance abuse and alcohol abuse. And all of the isms that they say that we'll never get past. And then we have the prison system. And a lot of us go there just so that we can have some place to live. And it beats the hell out of the shelter system. Prison.
Now, you've worked in the prison system. Does that really happen? Do people prefer to be in the prison system just to have a roof over their head? Is that a reality?
I met a 24-year-old boy who had no family.
Mm-hmm.
He kept coming, the recidivism, which allotted him the opportunity to get an apartment Because if you have the recidivism, then we have a program that says that you can have an apartment. So here's the thing. We offered him an apartment. He had never lived by himself. But because he kept coming in and out, and then of course, he got into one of the gangs or whatever that was. We offered him the apartment. We got him the apartment. He had never been food shopping by himself. He just never knew what to do. So we sent him to this apartment, and he gets it, and he gets food stamps. And I advocated for him to get everything before he left Rikers Island, excuse me. I was walking downtown Brooklyn on J Street one day, and I heard somebody screaming, "Hey, Miss!" Well, I kept walking because they weren't talking to me. Well, it was the same young man. He said, "I got the apartment, and I got the food stamps, and I bought some food." Okay, so now here's what I need you to do. I need you to report to your parole officer. I need you to make sure you buy your food and you take care of yourself. And don't let all those people in your apartment so that you can maintain it. We're talking about recidivism now. We're talking about trying to maintain a level of something so that this young man can stay out of the jail system and maintain his apartment. 24 years old, no family, no mom, no dad, no grandparents, nobody but himself.
Now, could you discuss for the viewers that, what you actually did on Rikers Island? Because I really want them to get a depth of knowledge of like really what it was to be in there during that time.
Well, I during the days that I wasn't meeting with you in the visitor center doing Narcan.
Yeah, which we'll discuss about that too, and the whole Narcan situation.
Right. I was inside as a discharge. I was a discharge counselor, and I worked with people with HIV and AIDS. But aside from that, I kind of established a rapport with most of, the inmates there, only because sometimes they just needed somebody to talk to and whose office to come to. So a lot of times I would connect them to care. They didn't have doctors. They had never been to doctor's appointments, but they got arrested. And they had health issues. So I would connect them to care, and I would advocate for them to have therapy once they got out of jail. We would talk to their parole officers or probation officers or whatever that was before they went upstate. This is if they weren't going up for years. Some of them would come down and say, "Well, Ms. Taylor, I came down to see you, but I'm not coming home. I won't be home for 25 years or whatever that is."
Wow.
Was I able to? Nah. I just drop a word systematically. This is designed to break you. Do what you can not to be broken in this system. And they would go. And they would come. Some of them would leave and never come back, Angel, and go and keep their doctor's appointments. A lot of them were just struggling to make it because of the environment, man. Socioeconomically, there's a break. The cost of living has gone up, and there's just not enough money, according to our youth, according to the mentality of a lot of us. So we don't know how to go back to school and do the things that we need to do to get acclimated back into this life, because look at what we're up against right now. Please don't make me talk about our wonderful president.
Oh, man. Jesus Christ. Soon to be ex-president.
And what's going on in Washington right now? Like, I don't, so if we scratch the surface with that, it's all a direct result of these things.
Now, Ms. Taylor, how do you break that mentality? How do we break that cycle? What theories do you have? Because you're in the mix, like you're in the fight, you're in the struggle, you're in the trenches, you're in the infantry.
One of the things I've learned to do is meet you right where you are. There are no big I's or little U's when we're meeting, and one of the things I ask is, can I help you and how? And you tell me what it is you want for yourself. And if you don't want anything, you can tell me that too. I don't sit in a place of judgment. I just know what I need to do. You understand what I'm saying? And then I sometimes, because sometimes we need to disclose some things about ourselves to let them know that we understand. And I get to do that as well. I get to disclose some things about myself. Listen, I came from the trenches too. I just chose to do something different. This is all not from a book. Did I go back? Yes, I did go back to school. They told me I had worked in the system for quite some time. Let me just tell you what it is. And as I continued to go uphill in this field, one day I found out that if I didn't get my education, I couldn't eat, if you will. And I had to go back to school. And I had to obtain a couple of degrees. And I had to do what society said in order for me to be okay in this field. And so I did those things. I'm talking about, I must have been close to 40 years old when I did it. So I sit before you now. Yes, I sit before you now with a couple of degrees. Still have one more that I promised that I would get. I promised my mom before she passed that I would get, and I'm going to work on that as I speak to you right now. But it can be done. And it doesn't matter what age. And it doesn't matter the challenges. You know, a lot of times we think, oh, because we have a felony, we can't. Well, there are some organizations that will work with you. I promise you. You don't have to stay there. There are organizations for everything. We have to learn how to find our way around a system that's designed for us to be broken. Now, how do we do that? We ask for help. We have to learn how to ask for help. How do we learn how to ask? See, one of the things, you know, that we as a people suffer from is pride. And our pride is a killer. It's the number one killer for us. We have to be able to say, I need help, sir. I need help, ma'am. I don't, you know, a lot of times I run into our youth, even early, even some adults that may be in their late 20s, early 30s that can't even read or write. And,
wow.
But I need you to be able to say that to me. Because I'll tutor you as well. I'll do whatever it takes to get you to the next level. Let me know what that is.
Yeah, because you're there to facilitate, man. You're there to, you're there to be, essentially the liaison from the broken generation to success moving forward. And if you don't ask around, you'll never find people of your status to try to, to help enable them to go on a deeper path. But you know what I noticed as well? A lot of people seek help from people that are in no position to help them. And they end up in situations that, so why do they listen to people that are really in no position to help them instead of lead them down the wrong path instead of reaching out to people like you? Why do we think like that, do you think? Because I know you studied some psychology and things of that nature.
Because that's what we've been programmed to think.
Yeah.
Well, you're no better off than me. So we're in a melting pot. It's a melting pot. Or let's do it the crab theory. And we're in a barrel of crabs, and I just need to keep pulling you back in, and that's all we do. And it's vicious. It's a vicious circle. And that's all we do. So I come and ask you for advice, and you can't tell me one better than the other. And then that's what we continue to do. But I can show you how to do what's wrong. I can't help you with what's right. And we tend to draw to that because we've never been taught anything different. So we have to unlearn and relearn some things in this life. We have to turn off all the negativity. Like some of the isms that we tell ourselves. If somebody says to you, well, I'm going to beat you up, and you say to yourself, well, if you don't beat him up or if you don't punch him in the face, you're a sucker. Well, how about a sucker's a lollipop? And the minute we unlearn some things to learn some new things, we can grasp what there is ahead of us. How about that?
Nobody has better metaphors than you. You're the queen of the metaphor. Let me tell you, God darn it. If there's one thing I learned doing Narcan and Rikers Island with you was the metaphor status, man. Like, this is crazy. No, but but it's true. And like you said, we worked on Rikers Island together. We saw a lot of these, a lot of this situation go on firsthand. And and now there's reform bills being signed for for people who have been incarcerated for drugs. And my thing is, like, now it's like it was a little funny to me because, you know, Narcan of, you know, fentanyl and things of that nature have been affecting the white population more than the black community. You know what I'm saying? And it's odd to me that these bills get signed now, but when, you know, we needed that kind of reform back in the 90s and the 80s, it was throw everybody in jail.
But it was, but let's talk about how it didn't reach their neighborhoods as deeply as it does now. So now it's a problem.
Yeah.
Huh? It didn't touch their people like it scratched us. Look at our prison system right now. 99.9% of them are in for drug charges. I'm talking about some marijuana charges. What the hell are they doing in jail, Angel?
Well, that has a lot to do with that crime bill that Biden signed back in the days made happen. Yeah.
Well, we know that.
He has to atone for those mistakes. Well, you know, that's a different topic, but, you know, he's in office now. He has to atone for all those mistakes he made in the past, and he said he would.
See, that's the thing about making a mistake. I think you said it best. We can atone for it if we're willing.
Yeah.
We get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and you know, thanks to people like you have the opportunity to reach out to people such as yourself and go into these systems, because what I really want out of this podcast is for people to know who are ex-felons, for people who are going through domestic violence or drug abuse or mental health, that I know people firsthand that have been through what you've gone through and are now facilitating those efforts to get people to a different status in life, because you don't have to live that life for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be permanent.
You know, that's just like, I was talking to a friend the other day, and what she did was she sent me, because I still have contacts in terms of people that are homeless and are living in apartments that are getting ready to lose their apartments because of not being able to pay their rent.
Because of the pandemic, or because of many different reasons?
Because of the pandemic, as well as some other isms. But I'm going to blame it on the pandemic just to stay safe.
Okay.
So we have agencies that can assist. I'm going to send you one. What you can do is you can post it. You can do what's needed thereafter, just to give somebody some hope, man, because we don't.
Well, we're gonna scroll it on the bottom of this interview. That's what we're here to do. So yeah, whatever information you have, please send it over. And you know, definitely I will. If you go and follow me on at Angel of Words ENT, for the people that are just listening, you can go on my Instagram and find out where these places are.
And so I just sent it to you, right? And that's what we need to do. We need to give some hope to people that are hopeless at this point.
Yeah.
Please know that therapy doesn't make you crazy. What therapy does is that we all need somebody to talk to. They have a 311 number that you can call if, in fact, you're feeling depressed, and you can just talk to somebody. They will refer you to said therapist or whatever that is. But again, if it's an issue with becoming homeless, or getting ready to lose your apartment because of this pandemic, or if you're hungry, there are some pantries, lots of pantries. There's no reason. I mean, I can't say there's no reason because we're in a pandemic, but we have to be able to look after each other. And in so doing, we give referrals and we make the provisions. We get out. Listen, Angel, I work from home some days. But other days, I'm out in the trenches, man, and I don't mind going to see my clients and doing what's necessary so that they can get what they need. You know, I was dealing with one of my families the other day, and my first question was, well, do the children have what they want for Christmas? Can I just have one thing that they all want for Christmas? And I can't say that the agency that I work for will provide for them, but what I can say is I'll do my darndest to get each of them one something, right?
Yeah.
Just to put a smile on their face.
Yeah,
they
just give them some semblance of hope.
Yes. Yeah. And that's my job in this life. I must.
No. And Miss Taylor, like, in addition to that, you know, there's also a lot of domestic violence happening. Do you see that in your agencies? Because that's a big situation as well during the pandemic. Domestic violence came up. I know you're a big activist when it comes to domestic violence. You know, in layman's terms, you don't play that. You know what I'm saying? You know, what can
Well,
we say to some of the people out there that are dealing with domestic violence issues as well? Do you have any places that they can go, do you think, that are good?
Yes, if you're dealing with domestic violence as a result of this pandemic, because yes, we are all home, and there are a lot of things going on and a lot of things that are not, that we're unable to do to take care of ourselves. Please, please, I implore you to tell someone, to pick up your phone. Don't sit in that. You know, a lot of domestic violence has a lot to do with control and our inability to see that we can be helped. Whether it's man or woman, woman, man, whether it's boy, listen, domestic violence does not just consist of a man and a woman. Domestic violence consists of a woman and a woman.
Yeah, a toxic relationship could be a toxic relationship in any way, yeah.
So I implore you, and I can't stress enough, get the help. Pick up the phone, make the call. Get the help. There's help out here for you right now. Listen, Angel, you know how I feel about domestic violence.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know, do you think that has to do with pride? Do you think that has to do with fear?
It does, and fear. Fear makes me stay in something because what am I going to do if I leave? Yeah. The controller has the control. So what am I going to do if I leave? How am I going to provide for my children? And it may not be much that the controller is giving, but it's something. And it's okay, I can take it. But my children have shelter, if that's what that is. If I leave, what's going to happen to us? The pandemic is here now. We could get sick and die. Like, there are so many layers to this thing right now.
Yeah, it's an onion. It's unfortunate, but it's an onion right now. It's an onion.
Yes.
And it's rotten, man.
And the fear is so heightened that, God, we can't touch each other. You know, the very thing that keeps our thread, the bonding thread, that we hug each other, that we love on each other. We can't even do that right now because, oh my God, what might we get? Yeah. So all of those things are common denominators of why I stay in a domestic violent relationship.
And do you think that sometimes it's the feeling of acclimation more than the feeling of love?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, being accustomed to something, you know, because I feel like people have a hard time breaking things that they're accustomed to.
It's a pattern. Yeah. And if you hit me, you love me. Because I saw mommy do it. I saw daddy do it to mommy. I saw mommy do it to daddy. And grandma do it to grandpa. Grandpa do it to grandma. It's a tradition that has to be broken, and we don't know how to do it. And right now, it leaves us in a very precarious situation because of this damn pandemic.
And, you know, where do you think people, women, or, you know, anyone, that women, men, you know, people should go if they're dealing? Because I have family members that are dealing with domestic violence issues, and it's a pattern and they won't get out of it, to the point where I can't associate myself with you because I right now, I'm in no position to be around that level of toxicity. Right. You know, I can't have your toxic relationship affecting what I'm trying to do, pushing forward and trying to break these generational curses. And then sometimes your family members come at you like, yo, you think you better than me? And it's not, It's like, I can't make us better in general if I continue to placate you in this situation.
Well, you know, Angel, one of the things I learned about life, right? Because you're always going to have that. You're going to have someone that says that, well, you think you're better because you were able to get out. And they decided to stay in. And sometimes it didn't feel like a choice for them, but you got out and they didn't. What I say to that is continue to be your best self, because what will happen is they all might not come, but one will follow. And so I continue to be my best self, and I continue to do the best that I can in this life with who I am. And I say to all of us, like, love wins, man. And what I mean by that is us advocates. That's the love, right? Those of us that are having podcasts, but we're still working other jobs just to maintain how we take care of ourselves. We're willing. There's a willingness to get out here. Like, no matter what goes on, we have to be our authentic selves so that we can be an example for those that feel like there's no hope. So no, don't be around the toxicity, but continue to conduct yourself as you are. I am so proud of you. I have seen you like, wow, didn't we come from a place, huh?
Yeah, no, man. and you know, it's really all those things that, you know, and all those winters that we spent outside, you know, helping the community, making sure that they were put onto Narcan, making sure they had condoms, making sure that they knew where to go take care of their health. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That
yes.
really made me realize that, you know, maybe my purpose is to spread this information, not just locally, spread it on a
But
universal
globally,
scale.
that's right,
you know?
globally, that's right.
Because
that's right.
I don't want nobody in the world to feel like there's nobody out there that's willing to help them. Because that's not true. People have helped me. You know, you've helped me see the world in a different way. And hopefully I could pay it forward by helping other people see things in a different way. Because, I mean, we're all human. You know, we're all humans. We're all in this together, no matter what, you know, race, religion, color you are. It doesn't matter to me, man. And I'm just here to try to bring unity and stop the foolishness.
That's right.
Because I feel like there's a lot of nonsense going on, all this classism, greed. Like, I mean, look, I understand being an entrepreneur or, like, you know, going out and getting your paper. Like, I'm not against that. But, you know, trampling on a gazillion other people and disenfranchising them.
That's right. That's right.
You know what
like,
I mean? That's where, like, I got to pull apart from you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not about that wave. I'd rather pull you up than break you down in order to get where I need to get to. You know what I'm saying?
And what is it that we as a people capitalize off somebody else's misfortune? What is it that we don't, if I can't reach my hand out to help, then I do you a disservice. What is it that we don't give each other the resources that are needed to move forward? So when I see you down, did you know that you can go and get, if you're hungry, from the pantry? I'm not going to refuse you, but there's a pantry out there that will. And are the pantries running out of food? They are, because of this pandemic. But the thing is there are some. You know, what is his name? Tracy Morgan was giving out turkeys for Thanksgiving, man. You know, just so that people can eat, families can eat. They're doing it in the projects. They're doing it everywhere. Like, don't let your pride stop your children or you from eating. And no one's better than the other. Listen, Angel, I got up a little earlier than somebody else. That's all that is.
Yeah.
I just got up a little earlier this morning. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't make me any better. What it does is makes my thirst to gain more knowledge on how I can help us become a better people.
And you know, Ms. Taylor, I feel like our mental illness is wrapped up in that pride, in that sense of competition, you know, because we covet what we want every day. So if you're on your phone 24/7 on social media and things of this nature, you know, and you see people that you feel like you may be better than, or you see things all the time that you want, but you feel like you can't get there, it really is going to mess with your mental health. When you're constantly bombarded with images of things that you want, but you're not focused on how you get there. You know what I'm saying?
So then we're talking about social media. We're talking about television, right? Because what is that?
Yeah.
Just nothing but subliminal seduction. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to say to each other, turn that off and try a book. We have to be able to say to each other, let me show you. You know, one of the things I love about this life is that I never, ever, ever, ever want to get too big that I can't help somebody else up. And I don't eat a lot, but I eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hey, that's when we're supposed to eat, when we're hungry.
You understand what I'm saying? But that allows me to gnaw on more knowledge and more information. And when I talk about being hungry, it's not a hunger for food. It's a hunger for, what can I do to make this better, to be better?
No, Miss Taylor, yeah, you know, you're absolutely correct. And I'll be honest with you, man, I feel like we should, you know, as human beings, like, just be aware that you don't want to just be the person behind the scenes. And what I mean behind the scenes is the person that's just consuming. You know, you want to be the person that's on the other side too, helping people consume, but the correct, you know, not the correct, but the things that are going to help make themselves feel valuable. Because I feel like as a people, we don't feel valuable. You know, and we commit all these mistakes and we do things that we shouldn't do and we go down wrong paths because we don't have that inner value of ourselves. And that's what we need to start creating if we're going to be successful, you know, as human beings.
You know, so again, I say to you, I was talking to one of my families the other day, and, you know, Mom said something to me, and I said to her, I said, listen, so, and this was on Friday, I said, so give me a call on Monday and just let me know how your weekend was. You know, we have to be able to empower each other. And it's something as simple as, let me know how you're doing. Like you and I do from time to time. We have to be able to empower each other. And sometimes just knowing someone wants to know that you're okay makes a world of difference. And it's not because I sit behind a desk. Am I doing this because it's my job? No. It's because as a human being, we're charged with, I am my brother's keeper. We're charged with that. And I believe that. I work in the field. Yes, I do. But moreover, it's my passion. Moreover, it's my passion to just know that I made a difference. You know, I had a client. When I met this client, she was 18 years old. I'll just tell you this. And the agency I worked for at the time, I won't even discuss it. But it was time for me to go on a home, and I was doing home visits at the time, and I went to her house. They said, you don't want to go to her house. She's mean, and, she's a terrorist, if you will. And so I called her, and I sent her a letter and told her, policy says that I have to come and I have to visit. And she said, well, okay. So, you meet people where they are, and I recall putting on some Timberlands, and because, I had to go in the hood, right? So I put on some Timberlands and, a little jacket, and, I went on to the house. And I have to tell you, Angie, she was 19 years old at the time. Today, she's 42 years old. Am I still in contact with her? Yes, I am. I watched her son grow up. She's recently obtained, and I'm talking about, I've spoken life into this woman. You can still get your GED. You can still. And so she just got her GED, and she got her food handler's license. I'm talking about during this pandemic. I'm talking about at the worst time when I think that nothing's possible. And she's 40 years old, man. And don't you stop. And she would call me and Mr. Ma, I can't, Miss Taylor, I can't do it. Like, I'm tired. And that's more of a reason for you to get up and go to school today. Go online. You can do it. And when she sent me the picture of that GED, I knew that there was a power better than me that said, Whitney, you keep on. You just keep on. Job well done. Huh?
Now, Miss Taylor, what made you want to go down this career path, man,
My life.
Yes.
My life and the loopholes that I jumped through or lack thereof. Like I said, I come from a place too. I lived in the projects growing up, and the projects are a state of mind. They're a community within a community, but it's an environmental factor that'll make you think that this is it and there's nothing more. And growing up in the projects, I remember being that person that, did everything I wanted to be a part of, and I wanted to be grown really quickly, so I left home very early on. And as a result of that, I went down a path that I wouldn't suggest somebody do today. Well, after I did that, and I would sit in the park, on those days, I never forget Tompkins Park over on Green Avenue, and I would sit in that park.
That's in Brooklyn, or where's
yes,
that?
Brooklyn, okay. And I would sit in that park under the influence, and I would sit
one
there.
One of the loopholes you're talking
about.
Yes,
one of my loopholes. And I would sit there and read books like As a Woman Thinketh, under the influence, because now I still need knowledge, and I still need to empower myself. And what I was always drawn to better. I just didn't know what that looked like and how. And my plight was everybody gave up on me. I don't have a right to give up on anyone. And my passion became that. So back then, the babies that were addicted to heroin, I would go to the hospital and see them. And it started there. And I remember going to see a friend over at 300 Skillman Avenue, and that's in Brooklyn as well. And he was living in a shelter. And I said the day that I was there, I'm going to work here. Well, Angel, I did.
Wow.
Well, Angel, I did. And that same young lady I'm talking about, she was one of my clients when I did.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. Well, Angel, I did. So we have loopholes, but we don't have to stay stuck in the mire of those loopholes. But that was my passion. Going to that shelter to meet my friend, right? Who I thought at the time was my friend.
Yeah.
And I went to meet him there. And I remember security was there and he had a case manager. And I said, I'm going to be that. And I became it. See,
and what gave you the inner strength and that resolve? What gave that to you, that inner strength and resolve to come out of that loophole? You know what I'm saying? And build yourself up.
Because they said I couldn't.
That's always, I'm telling you, I speak to a lot of people because they said I couldn't. It's always that reason. That's a fact, man. That's a big motivating factor people don't understand. You get tired of hearing that. I mean, you should get tired of hearing that. When they tell you can't do something, you should get tired of hearing that and do what you got to do to show them that you can do whatever it is you want to do.
And it catapulted me into, oh, okay. I can't, huh? So that's motivation for me. Like, that's just like when things today, because as a human being, we get disappointed. And my disappointments are motivators for me. They're motivating factors for me to get up and do. Okay, so I went right. That didn't work. Go left now. You get what I'm saying? It's just motivation for me to get up and do more and do better. Or take your time. It'll work out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is not a race. It's a marathon. Like, you don't have to, you got to go at your own pace, man. And don't compare yourself to other people. You do what you got to do to make yourself get to where you need to get to.
So if I had, one word to say to someone tonight, my word would be to not give up. To believe that you can, and I promise you will. And I recall saying that to this client of mine. Like, you have to believe that you deserve better, because you do. And I don't care what we're stricken with, because a lot of times we use ailments. We use mental health. We use substance abuse. We use so many isms that tell us that we have to stay stuck in a quagmire of self-pity and redundance. And Angel, I'm here to tell you, if you don't break the cycle, you'll do just what it was designed to do.
You're going to fall into the trap that they laid
Absolutely.
out for you.
Just what this system was designed for you to become. Nothing.
Wow.
See, like, I work for a system that's designed for people to fail. And when I say that, how is it that, I'm going to do this at the risk and pray as I deal with, how is it that if you run into, say, ACS at this moment, the system says that even if the case is founded and you have 3 children, your last child has to be 28 years old before ACS takes its hands off of you. Tell me systematically how I'm not broken.
Wow.
Tell me systematically how I'm not broken. I made a mistake, for heaven's sakes, not a life sentence.
Yeah, it's a life sentence you're getting dealt. Wow. That's crazy. And you see this all the time.
Listen.
Wow.
Listen. And all I can do is get in and try to show or be or give a better way just so that there's some kind of normalcy in a system that told you failed.
Wow. Now, Ms. Taylor, how do you feel about police reform? Just curious. You know?
It's a little sticky, isn't it?
Well, we're on this social
police
kick.
Reform,
you know?
huh? Okay.
I'm being nice about it. You know?
Yeah, so am I. So am I. I said reform, huh? You know, some stuff I just.
And you know, we know a lot of officers now. We know how great they can be. So you know, we got. You know, I you know, like I'm in a tough spot. You know, mentally with.
And
that,
that's what I said. You know, there's a tug of war here going on here with me with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's my truth. Yeah, I have a tug of war going on with that. Because you listen, one bad apple could spoil a whole bunch. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, those are the facts.
One bad apple could spoil a whole bunch. And a lot of times, that's what goes on. So, one bad apple.
Now, Miss Taylor, though, like, I mean, you worked at Rikers Island, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you, like these kids, because, you know, cops are supposed to be part of the community. I hear this all the time, right? That cops are supposed to be a part of the community. You go to other communities in the suburbs or, you know, more affluent communities, you see people talking to cops like they're regular people. I never saw that growing up in New York. You saw a cop, you were trying to avoid them. You don't look them in the eye.
I'll tell you. Angel, I lived in.
It wasn't until I worked at Rikers Island where, like, I started getting an affinity for cops and started looking at them as human beings and not like cyborgs, like Star Troopers in Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but you know,
and that's my reality. I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah.
No, I get it, but growing up, again, I'll revert back to, you know, those projects that I lived in, and in those projects we had the housing police. And we had one police officer. His name was Mr. Maynard. We called him, and he was a cop. And Mr. Maynard, they say, was the meanest cop on the beat. Well, I'll tell you, Maynard was the sweetest man you ever wanted to meet. If you got in trouble, he took you home to your mother and let your mother beat your butt. But that was his way of keeping you out of trouble. He loved you enough. So my idea of police was Mr. Maynard. And when I didn't see that anymore, then it became a problem for me. You get what I'm saying? So while we were working at Rikers Island and the humanness that we got from those COs, I knew that. That was familiar for me. I couldn't help but want to assure that I gave those inmates the very same thing. Because that's what I got. He didn't spank you, but he sure took you home to your mother and made sure. Listen, she had it again, Esther. That was mommy's name, you know. and mommy, yes. So I knew that. So this thing about your knee on my neck and things like that, I don't know anything about that. It saddens me in a place. Oh my God. Where's Mr. Maynard?
Yeah, facts.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I stay away from sticky situations. Actually, I never ran from the police as much as I do today. You know, I don't see them as a part of the solution. And I'm not saying they're all bad or they're all good, but I don't see them as a part of the solution. I see them as a part of the problem, a big problem. A wide problem.
And there has to be a discussion. I like to, I try to get them on the show, but they like to avoid me, you know.
Well, you know.
And I don't want to attack them. I just want to have a conversation like we're doing right now. You know, we didn't agree on a couple things we spoke of today, but we're still talking. You know what I mean? I'm not angry. You're not yelling at me. I'm not, because you can talk to people and have a conversation with things you disagree about. You know, like it's like debate class. You just talk and you say your point and that's it.
You can disagree without being disagreeable, Angel. We don't have to, like, it doesn't. And see, that's what happens. Our mentality makes us think, well, I won. It's not about win or lose. No. It's about coming to a medium.
Mm-hmm. It's about growth.
In that. Huh? So, prison reform, police reform?
Yeah.
taboo. That's taboo for me. Like I said, I knew Mr. Maynard.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You know, and shout out to the police officers doing the best to
The best
you
they
know,
can.
kind of act. That's a
Yes.
fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, Miss Taylor, we reached the point in the podcast where it's time to play 5 Words with Angel. All right, Miss Taylor, on 5 Words with Angel, I'm gonna give you a word or a phrase. You're gonna give me the first word or phrase that comes to your head. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The first word is homelessness.
Hope.
The second word is mental illness.
Therapy.
The third word is domestic violence.
Tell.
The fourth word is social injustice.
Stand your ground.
And the fifth word is a curveball. We're going to keep it light. Those were a little intense, you know? But the fifth word is one of your favorite things that I know because we've had these conversations. Fashion.
Dressed the part.
That's a fact, you know? Dressed the part. Well, Miss Taylor, could you know just give a message out to the public, and you know we're gonna scroll things below the screen to let us, you know, she's gonna send me all the information of places that you should go and visit if you're having any of these issues. That way you know where to go. But could you give our audience one final message before you go into the kids out there that are feeling like they're desperate and there is no hope?
There are many agencies that are here for help. While I know that it seems like all they want to do is capitalize off of you, there are some agencies. Please pick up the phone. Please talk to someone. There's hope. I promise you there's hope. You just have to be willing to ask for the help. That's all I got.
That's what's up. No, hey, you said what you had to say. You spoke your piece. That was Miss Whitney Taylor, community activist on the Angel of Words podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you next week. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed my interview today with community activist Miss Whitney Taylor, letting us know where we can go as a community to seek help if we're going through some very difficult times in our life and we need people to back us in our endeavors. Here at the Angel of Words podcast, we make sure that we do our best to help our community and give the people information they need in order to do so. Now, you know that you can find us on YouTube at Angel of Words ENT by clicking on the notification bell. Don't be afraid to leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the Angel of Words podcast and you feel like leaving a donation, you can cash app us at AOWENT. And if you want to know what I'm up to on my social media platforms and the exclusive content that I give out there, please follow me at Angel of Words ENT, all one word. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget to seek that help, and we'll talk to you later.